Hey, it's Gail here. So I realized this week that it's about a year since I've done anything with the Ignite show broadcast live. I've really kind of taken a bit of a back seat and been a bit hidden really. And I thought, it's really time I did something about that. So here I am in with a new episode of the Ignite show. This is going to get loaded into the vault once it's been broadcast live as well. And I thought today I would talk about something that has come up a couple of times in some of my coaching calls. And it's that scenario when you've been invited to meet with a senior leader. And in one way it's fantastic because it's a great opportunity and that's exciting and great. But on the other hand, you can be filled a little bit with dread, right? So it can be a little bit like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? And not just what am I going to say, but what if I say something and it's the wrong thing? What if I'm not enough? So what if I'm not strategic enough? What if I'm not smart enough? What if I say something stupid? What if they think I'm an idiot? And I've been in that scenario. I've been in that situation. I've felt those feelings and had those thoughts. And here's the thing that I want you to think about. In those moments, it's not necessarily about proving yourself, although it's understandable why you would jump to that thought. Like, I understand that, I get that, and that's where a lot of the pressure comes from, actually, that pressure to prove yourself. What it's really about, and what I'd love for you to focus on, is it's really about being curious. Because when you're curious, you will be memorable because you need a bit of confidence to be curious. And whether you feel confident or not, if you can be curious, it will give you an air of authority and credibility, an air of confidence, even if you don't feel that inside. So what you really need to step into is courage. And when you meet a senior leader for the first time, your immediate thought might be, I need to impress. So my goal is to impress this person. This person could be really influential to my career. I need to impress them. I need to show up well. I need them to think highly of me. And this is my opportunity. What will help you in those moments is, rather than focusing on being impressive, because that piles on a huge amount of pressure, instead focus on being curious with a goal of understanding. So be curious about what really matters to them. What are their priorities? What are they trying to achieve? What's keeping them awake at night? What's getting in their way? Because when you're curious, you draw people in, you create a connection, which is really, really important. So you create a connection with other people, and you also connect the dots as well. But when you think about great leaders are the ones that ask really good questions. They listen deeply. And when they're asking questions, when they're asking deeply curious questions, they're listening to the answers and they're thinking, okay, based on these answers, what does that tell me about how I can help, how I can be part of the solution, and how I can move things forward? So instead of thinking about the perfect answers, prepare thoughtful questions. Things like, what's the biggest priority for your team right now? Where do you see the biggest opportunity for change? I already said this, what's keeping you awake at night? You have to be brave to ask that one. But when I meet with CEOs for the first time, that's one of the first things I ask them. What's keeping you awake at night? What's the biggest thing I can help you with right now? Because that's how you shift from being just someone else they've met to someone they remember, right? And that is important. It's important that you are memorable versus impressive. And you want to be memorable for the right reasons, obviously, but you do want to be memorable. And when you're curious, you have an impact on the other person. The other person feels seen, they feel heard, and you make an impression, you make a mark on them. So the next time you've got that meeting in your diary and your inner critic starts that whisper, oh, this is going to be a disaster, you're going to get it wrong, you're going to say the wrong thing, you're going to look like an idiot, and you start thinking that, I really need to prove myself here, I need to go in and be impressive. I want you to stop and remember you've already earned your place at that table. So show up with curiosity rather than pressure, because curiosity builds connection and connection builds trust. So let me know what you think. Hope that was helpful, and I will speak to you soon.